Hello everyone, welcome back to the National Contemporary Orchestra's Repertoire Review Series. In our last video, we took a look at a piece called Short Ride in a Fast Machine by John Adams. And during that video, I mentioned how the recording featured in that video opened up the piece for me. I also promised to explain in the next video what that meant and how it happened. So here we are and here we go. Back at the beginning of our NCO videos, I talked about what a conductor does to prepare for a concert, which includes studying every part of the music. And that means I look at all the notes being played by all the instruments, and I see how they relate to one another. So sometimes I'll see how 4 notes being played at the beginning of a piece will relate to 10 notes being played 20 minutes later, or how an entire musical statement played by one section towards the end of a piece is actually a collection of a bunch of smaller snippets of music that were played by different sections over the course of the entire piece leading up to that. And that changes your entire perspective on the piece. And even then, because music is subjective, every conductor will have their own answer, and they're all basically correct. All the information about a piece that a conductor gathers goes to inform their understanding of the piece. We try to understand what inspired a composer to write the piece, or the circumstances under which the piece was written, or maybe even the message the composer is trying to relay. And all that goes into the conductor's interpretation of the piece, which in turn influences how we conduct the orchestra when it comes time to perform. So years ago, there were those magic eye books that had a hidden image within a seemingly abstract picture that you would sit and just try to, get the right angle or cross your eyes just enough to see the secret image. And after trying for what seemed like forever, there was this sense of accomplishment and discovery when the hidden image finally revealed itself. Well, something very similar happened to me when I was studying Short Ride. As I was going through the piece, there was this one section that I just couldn't figure out. I did a deep dive analysis of the chord structure, of the rhythmic patterns, of the meter changes, even which instruments were playing which notes, but nothing really gave me that sense of, oh, that's how it goes. And it was getting pretty frustrating. So there I am one night, pulling my hair out over this one part, and actually getting a little anxious because in about 24 hours, I was supposed to get on a call with a very well-known conductor to talk with her about the piece. I knew she had conducted Short Ride before and that she likely knew the composer, so I was a bit nervous because I had everything else figured out about Short Ride except for this part. And I didn't want to go in seeming stuck on something when I talked with her. So I decided to give it one more listen, but I had to change it up somehow. So I figured, all right, might as well go to a different recording. You never know. So there I was, scrolling through YouTube, and I found the Thomas San Francisco recording. And as usual, I listened to it a bunch of times, and I would focus on a different section of the orchestra for each time. But the second time through, something caught my attention when I got to this troublesome part, and it was weird because it felt like something wasn't right. So I was watching the score, and as the music is playing, that's when I realized something was in the recording that I was not seeing in the score. I listened to it again and again, just to make sure I was in fact hearing something that wasn't written. And that's when I realized there was this big timpani hit in measure 106 in the recording that wasn't in the score. Now, the fact that it wasn't in the score could mean a number of things. Maybe Michael Tilson Thomas felt there was something missing there and decided to add a timpani hit, which, okay, could be considered within the realm of artistic license since it's not a major change to the piece. Or maybe after the score was already published, Adams felt the timpani needed a hit, told Thomas to add it in, but then never told the publisher to add it to future printings of the score. Either way, it was there, and thank goodness it was. Now, after talking about all this, let's hear the difference between Short Ride with and without the timpani hit. First is one of my all-time favorite recordings of Short Ride, which was a live performance by Marin Alsop and the BBC Orchestra from the 2014 Last Night of the Proms. So you hear that timpani right there, it was that swell, it was a roaring, rumbling swell. Nothing particularly jumping out, it was just a nice solid and it just barreled through just as it's supposed to do. Now let's listen to that same part of the piece, but this time from the Thomas San Francisco recording, and you'll hear the timpani hit. Right there, that pulsating boom on that second part of the measure, that did it. That opened it up for me. I heard that and realized, oh my gosh, look at it. There it is. There's Short Ride. Success. So again, Alsop and BBC. And Thomas San Francisco. I tell you, that one note, that one added note made all the difference in the world. So thank you, Mr. Thomas. By the way, the call I had with the well-known conductor ended up going really well. And that's because, in the end, not only was it a fun exchange of ideas and insights, it was another example of why I love working with new music. Not only can I have a conversation with living composers, but when they're not available, I can still talk with colleagues who know the composer personally and then hear and learn from their experiences with the composer and with the music. So that's my story about my experience unlocking Short Ride in a Fast Machine. It'll never stop being amazing or fun, or really the second most favorite part about being a conductor. The first, of course, is actually conducting the music. But being able to study and listen, learn and discover is really what makes music such an incredible experience for everyone involved, not just the musicians playing it. For more repertoire review videos and other insights about contemporary orchestral music, please follow and subscribe to the National Contemporary Orchestra on all our socials, as well as at www.nationalcontemporaryorchestra.org. As always, thank you for your support, and of course, enjoy the performance. All right, bye-bye.